It's going to be a thing. So anyway, for those that don't know, I think we said this in the video we recorded, but it's not live yet. Show off that eye real quick.
Yeah, I don't know if they can see it anymore. It's starting to really go away. It's healing up pretty well.
He got punched right in the face. But it's okay, because then he went and kicked the ever-living crap out of this guy and made him not want anything to do with him, right?
Indeed.
He didn't want no more. But it's okay. It wasn't a crime. He's starting to do some MMA fighting and is currently 2-0. So Caleb, the milkman, we are all very proud of you here over at Olympus. I just like to share that. It's pretty fun. Okay. Jojo has a question. I'm going to have to pay taxes now with my new COLA raise. I don't know.
Am I?
Yeah, I don't know if you are or not. I mean, I am not a tax professional. So you probably should talk with one, like seriously, or at least run it through a program and find out. I mean, I couldn't tell you that on that or not, if you're going to pay taxes or not. If you have an income, most incomes have to pay taxes. That's what I can tell you. So, what's going on, Richard? Michael, looking for a 1.0 clown het pie. No, we don't have any of those here. Missed half of what you guys were talking about when it started. It was mostly Caleb getting punched in the face.
Pretty much.
Yes. But then kicking the living piss out of somebody for doing it legally.
Het pied?
Yeah, we don't have any of those.
No.
We have some het pie, het exantic, but that's about it. And we haven't released them yet. What's going on, Dan? It's based on level. Well, but again, I don't know where you're at, and I don't know the tax levels, and I can't help you. What's going on, Joseph? Thank you so much. We greatly appreciate that. You should pair that with a question if you want. You make the best videos. Well, thank you very much. I don't know if that's exactly true, but at least you think so, and I'm going to go with it. There's a lot of people I'd probably find more entertaining to watch than my dumb ass, but, we try to keep it real at least. It keeps my throat wet. How's that boy doing? The one we got from you is doing really well. We don't pull them out really because we're still keeping them separate in the room and having to disinfect and do all that. But all the new additions are doing good. That one that we got from you is doing phenomenal, and the one we got from us is doing phenomenal. The banana pie we got is doing really good. Mm-hmm. It's given us a few fits. Like we had to go to a smaller meal for it, and it's doing great. But they're all three doing wonderful. Which would win in a fight, a dragon or a unicorn? Oh, I missed it. Come on back. Or a unicorn that can shoot laser beams from its horn. I'm going to go with the dragon still. I mean, if it's a traditional big dragon with fire breathing and, most laser beams just going to hurt eyes and they don't burn anything, like they just make cats happy. So I'm going to go with the dragon to whoop that ass. Is that funny? What is this?
This is a random question.
Random questions are fine. I like those. Plan on breeding the Gilas. Yeah, so Dan, we're going to hope to breed the Gilas. We have them pair. We're going to start doing some moisture cycling, get that all up and going, and do that sort of thing. And it's going to be one of those things that we're not banking on it. I ain't going to work real super hard at it, but if it happens, it happens. And we actually did have eggs last year doing that. So, I went there. That is a weird question, and no, I'm not even going to go with a bad answer on that. That's just some weird shit to me. But hey, man, you do you if that's what you're into. I don't care. I don't judge. Whatever everybody's into is fine. But for me, it is definitely not my thing. It's just kind of weird. What do you think? Yeah. You're younger than me. Yeah, you're into more of that weird shit.
I'm just going to
let that one go. Let that one go. Most people put that shit because they don't think you'll address it. And I don't give a fuck. So, random question. How long can I keep a male and female together for pairing? Well, just a dream, I guess. That's kind of cool. So, I'm gonna let that one go. So, we usually keep them paired about 3 or 4 days, but if they're locked, we'll keep them paired longer. I like to give them a break to eat. That's what I like to do. So, let them pair. We used to go up to a week, but let them pair, take them out, let them have a break to eat, give them a few days off, and go back to it. There was a question about, do you guys have a link to what you sell? I'm just looking for a nice spider. I know you can find them easily, find a good one is another story. That is very true. We do all of our sales through Patreon. So you'd have to join our Patreon to have that. We drop a list there. The last list was sold out, but one of them I know now is going to be back available, but it doesn't have spider, but we will have spider stuff on there. A lot of it's going to be comboed. I don't know if we have any single gene spiders actually laying around right now.
Just hets.
We have some het stuff, yeah, we do have that. And any spider you get from us is single gene spider. It's going to be very, very reduced pattern because we worked really hard to do that. And we really don't get anything with a very busy pattern. If you want the busy pattern with lots of dots, we're the wrong place. If you want a really nice reduced pattern, we are certainly the right place. What's your favorite snake in your collection? Well, shit, man. My favorite snake, and then I see that just. I'll get to that in 1 second. My, it just changes all the time. It depends on if it's just looks, and it's probably that Banana Blitz Calico Black Pastel because it's just such a weird looking snake, and I know there's none out there. I really love my Zebra Bee female because it's a culmination of something I worked so hard for. There's a few holdbacks back there that are just phenomenal that I worked so hard to make. So it changes. It really does. I don't know about you. What's the favorite one you have here? And while you're looking, I'm going to answer that question a little further. So, just a dream. So, unfortunately, I'm in the hospital. I'm asking because my male and female have been together for almost 3 weeks now, and a tad bit worried. As long as it's male and female, I don't think there's anything bad that's going to happen, other than they're not going to feed, and he may get, they may be breeding a little too much.
That's
Caleb's favorite.
This one's my favorite.
And that is what is it? You might
it's a Bumblebee Krypton 100% het Desert Ghost.
That's what it is. And that's one he just purchased from us, so it's a pretty awesome animal. But that, I think you're fine. I just think that it's, if you could have somebody go separate them, it's probably a good idea. But I don't think them being together 3 weeks. I mean, people used to cohab these damn things; they'd be fine. So I don't think, which is not what I'm recommending. Don't anybody take a little cut of that and be like, Olympus reptiles advocates cohabbing. That's not what I'm saying. But what I say is most time that's happened, they'd stress, but they wouldn't die. I think you're going to be in the same situation. You're going to be probably okay. What's going on there from the UK? And then we had something about, let me get up here. Any tips on starting a small-scale rat breeding? Just build a rack and do it, man. That's the thing. Just do it. That's what I would say. You have to kind of trial and error it. 3 females, 1 male, and just put them together. Look, if you keep the temps decent, there's a pretty wide range. You keep them clean, and that's a big deal. That's where a lot of people don't do it, but you keep them clean, and you keep them well fed with good food, they're going to breed. They're not rocket science. If you do those things, your rats will probably breed and produce. If the bad thing about rats is if you're missing any one of those key areas, or if there's like any kind of like bug infestation like that, then they're going to just not breed or not breed well. So just make sure your adequate food, I should have said water, food and water go together, adequate good water, and all those things, and you're going to have success. So I just start with 1 rack and go with it, man. One thing I can say, if you can find a place that if you had leftovers that want them, that might be pretty good too. We're going to get the giant scissors. Never. I don't. Listen, everybody does what they want, but getting big old huge scissors, that's just a for show kind of thing. And I don't care if you make 1 snip. I mean, that's a fine way to do it. Or if you razor the top off, or if you use some small surgical suture scissors like we use, which is going to be jagged to make a nice fine cut. However you get the job done, but I'm not going to go get some gimmicky scissors to try to make myself feel big or anything. It's just not my. Again, do it. People should do what they want. But it's just not my gag, And anyway, and if I did do that at this point too, if I were to go and try to do something like that, I'm really just copying somebody else's gag, and that's kind of just, I don't know. Copying is not me. Like, I don't like to copy. And even if you see a video where we say, oh man, those guys just copied that topic, I honestly probably didn't, because I don't really watch a lot of other videos. I don't have time. So I would rather talk from here and do what's legit and not try to copy somebody else to be like them, because it's always fake bullshit when you do that, and you're not going to ever, whether it's somebody I like or don't like is irrelevant. You're never going to do it. You're just going to always be the copycat. So I just don't do that. Let me make sure I get caught up. If I miss a question, just let me know and you can re-ask it. Do I have any insurance on your collection? Not like you would think. It's really hard to do that because of it's kind of considered funky. So we have insurance on the whole house at a replacement value. So if something were to happen, we lose everything. We could actually rebuild a different building and have money in the bank to restart. Now, it probably wouldn't cover everything we have because but it would cover a lot. So, any advice getting a boa switch to rabbits? Mine took her first, no problem, refused to after. If you're feeding that boa rabbits, you probably don't have to feed it too often. So, just give it some time. That's a big ass meal. Probably once a month, that shit, I would imagine. And not, I don't do a lot of boas in a while. I always said mine rats was a male. It wasn't really big enough that we were feeding rabbits. But wouldn't you agree about once a month? Rabbits?
Especially on rabbits, it kind of depends on how big your boa is and how big your rabbits are. We've had, when I worked at the pet shop, we had people bring in really small rabbits. We had people bring in 25, 30-pound rabbits. That was definitely good, depending on the size of snake, for a couple months. Yeah. So These aren't creatures that eat every day like us, so you gotta remember their digestive system's much slower. Sometimes when people are like, oh, they're refusing to eat, really that's just they're
full.
hungry. They are full. They are working on digesting that.
I mean, if you went from a rat or even a large rat to a rabbit, a large rat may weigh a couple pounds. Rabbits, like Caleb said, can be up to 20. So that's just a way to kind of look at that. Watching from the Highlands, that's cool. Scotland's the place I really want to go.
I so badly
A
want to
UK friend waving at Ronaldo pythons and try throttling with rats, and that's not a bad idea too. If you think it's not, like, if you're like, man, I've been waiting a long time and it's not a hunger issue, it should be really hungry. Thawing it with rats and you're kind of scenting it. Scenting is always a good way to go. Sorry you see my finger. I got the comments paused so I can kind of read them as I go. Holy cow, Caleb, what happened to your hair? So he cut it off because he didn't want it to be pulled, I think. Is that right?
That's exactly what it was.
Yeah, since it's a sanctioned fight and you got hair, they can grab that shit. I don't think that's against the rules, is it?
No. Even if it was, like, that's not... There's a lot of things that are against the rules that still happen, so...
Yeah, like salt in the eyes? You do that?
Maybe not that far, but...
Do you ever knock out the ref?
Technically, you can't, like, extend your elbows or anything like that. That happens all the time. That's, like, my number one weapon.
But do you ever knock out the ref and then use a chair?
No.
That's why wrestling's still more badass, okay? As really because of the rat sizes. So if she's 7 foot and 18 to 20 pounds, I mean, yeah. It's going on hyperspace. That's one that's a rabbit would hold that thing for a long time. Yeah. Have you ever had an egg with a black spot on it? Not a window, not thinning. Last year I had one that mom kicked out, had a big black spot. After cutting it started seizing, died next day. I'm not sure if I've had that exact experience. I've had some weird looking eggs. Here's the thing, and this is going to sound kind of cold-hearted, but not every baby in the world is designed to make it. And I would be willing to bet, we all incubate eggs that get kicked out of the circle from mom. We all do. I do it too, and a lot of them hatch. I would be willing to bet, though, if somebody would keep, and I'm not going to do this, too much damn work, and my brain doesn't work well that way. Or to keep accurate statistics of kicked out eggs versus non-kicked out eggs, you would see a higher failure rate in the kicked out eggs, even if they went to term and hatched. I think that mom probably knows something's amiss. And I mean, we don't fully understand what nature is able to do. And she's going to, naturally, she can only hold 6 or 7 eggs in her coil, and there's 8 or 9. She's going to kick out those that are the least likely to provide a survivable hatchling. This is what she's going to do. And she's geared to, I don't know if it's smell, egg, I couldn't tell you. They came out her butthole, she knows. So it's probably nothing that you could have controlled or done. It's just, and not every baby's designed to make it. That's unfortunate. We've had them die right when they come out of the egg. We've had the small eggs that you really try really hard on. They have a lot lower success rate. Not that you'll never be successful. Well, we've been successful with them. I've got ones that were born in the 20s that are breeding now, but the rate's lower, I would say. So just one of those things that happens. I'm not sure what the black spot was, but it just kind of happens, Daniel. What's my feed schedule? We feed everything on Thursday or Friday. Mostly we've gone to Friday now just because it seems simpler schedules. Here's the thing. I know people try to do babies on a 5-day week and then everything else in a week. And for us, it's a pain in the ass. We just do everything on a week. My baby's going 2 days longer. They're still going to grow and be fine. So everything gets fed on Friday. There's a few exceptions. The Gila monsters are kind of sporadic because we you almost gorge feed them a little bit. To be honest, you don't feed them like one. When we feed them, we're feeding them. As a matter of fact, when we're done here, we go to Patreon Live. We're going to feed Gilas on Patreon Live for you. So we'll show you exactly how we're doing that right now. And we'll try to get a lot of food in her female. We want to fatten her up for possible babies. But everything else gets fed on a once-a-week schedule for the most part. Hey, all, what's going on? And that was my favorite single gene for ball pythons. So if we're going to be able to include homozygous stuff in there, which means basically including recessive, my favorite is xanthic. But xanthic is really catching a het gene from mom and a het gene from dad to make a homozygous gene from xanthic. If we're talking just having a single het gene, which would be like a single incomplete dominant, because when we talk about pastel, if you want to get real technical, you have pastel, what we think of as a pastel is actually a heterozygous pastel, and a super pastel is actually a homozygous pastel. That's the easiest way to remember that. So if we would talk about just a single gene het of any type, man, it's golly, it's hard. I mean, there's things I work with more. There's things I like visually. I would say It very well may be banana, just because banana is so extremely visually striking, or even lesser. I really like what lesser does, even by itself. It really grew on me. It'd probably be one of those two. What about you? You got a favorite single?
Probably like what you said, clown. If recessive counts. If it doesn't, it depends. If it's something that I can build on, Jungle Woma. I love that, and I want to build that into it. But if we're just talking just the snake by itself, nothing else, can't add anything to it, I really like leopard. I do. It is subtle compared, like color wise.
Subtle for me.
But you get a really nice leopard like that male that I'm really kind of upset about. I really like that. I do.
And the reason Caleb's upset is because it wasn't supposed to have penises, and it does.
It does.
So that happens.
It does.
What else we got here? Caleb, your hair needs to be a little bit shorter, like mine.
I don't know. If I go any shorter, you start to see where I'm starting to get thin.
You know what? I would say maybe we should give him a reverse fade.
I don't even know what that is.
But... That's where we leave this hair here,
Oh, and
we just take the top completely down. Give you a monk cut. Give him a monk cut. Making all the Bill Nye science. Oh no, I don't get all Bill Nye science guy. I got so ripped one time. You do love that show? I don't have a problem with it. I got so ripped one time. I had people literally mad at me and like messaging me and commenting and chewing me out and all. It was funny how like I got threats over it because I made a snarky comment about Bill Nye the science guy. Because somebody was saying, well, Bill Nye, and I'm like, well, Bill Nye is not even a scientist. He's an engineer. Like, and he's a smart cookie. He's an engineer, but we all watch him as kids. It's a kids' science show. The guy is not, I'm not going to take him like I would Neil deGrasse Tyson or, who's the dude in the wheelchair I think died? Help me out. Stephen Hawking, thank you. And that's not a rip on Bill Nye. He's a smart dude, but he's an engineer by that's what his degree's in. And I mean, it wasn't even getting to the point like, well, he has a Bachelor of Science, so he's a scientist. Or I'm like, well, that means my wife, who's a teacher, is a scientist because her first degree is a Bachelor of Science in Education. So Bill Nye is a subject I try to steer away from because, man, I got so much hate for just a snarky comment. I think it poked people's childhood a little bit. They're like, no, I learned science from him. We all did, but I also learned science from a guy in high school who wasn't a scientist either, And I mean, it's just... It's fine, but man, I got railroaded. I remember we were talking about, and I took a shot at Bill Nye. You'd have thought I like slapped Mother Teresa. That was bad. So, hey OR, who is OR? I'm not sure. What would you recommend? Oh,
yeah, it took me a second to get that one.
Hi, we're stupid around here. We didn't get our own initials. What would you recommend a first pairing for a beginner breeder? And what do you think will be big in 2023?
I think we had some videos on that actually.
We probably do in the background.
Haven't come out yet.
But like for a beginning breeder, what I would say if it's your first go round, and you're just kind of wanting to get your feet wet, you're not trying to like big money. And I don't think you should be trying big money on your first pairing. Get your feet wet. Get your feet wet first. I would go for something that is visually easy to identify. So I wouldn't be trying to stack 4 or 5 genes. I'd maybe look at like, bell combos would be great, like a lesser to lesser or Mojave to Mojave. So you could easily identify the normals, the single genes, and the supers, while still having a good return on an investment would be something I would really look at doing. You could also do something like GHI to Mojave. You could do something like that where you have easily identifiable morphs on your first babies. So you're not having to play that game and you have some cool stuff. I think our first one we did was bumblebees, which was cooler back then than it is now. Okay, it was still common, but very easy to identify. You can tell a pastel, you can tell a spider, you can tell a bumblebee. So things that are easy to see for your first pairings would be the best recommendation I have. Dennis had a message and it's gone. Sorry, Dennis. Let's see. Hey, JoJo, Leo for the win. Let's go, fam. About time to show the Gila monsters. This, we're going to show you the Gila monsters eating. They'll try to run out of the cage at me. They're fucking crazy. If you had to drop 2 genes from the ball python world forever, what would you drop? Camera's blurry. I can't help that drag. This is front-facing cell phone. If anybody else have an issue, let me know. Maybe I can try to film off the lens really quick, but you're going to see my shirt and maybe my fat belly. Damn, man, that's a loaded fucking question right there, What would I drop? The easy answer was to say, let's drop pastel. I won't want to do that because I think pastel really does improve a lot of things. Some people say, why don't you just drop spider? I think spider pattern is really cool. I wouldn't want to drop it, Golly. I have to drop 2. Fudge nugget. You know what? Part of me wants to say yellow belly, but yellow belly does mix cool combos with the elite. Like, yeah, I don't want to lose that.
Man.
Okay, I got one. One of them I'm going to drop some Mojave. And that seems bad, but hear me out. Hear me out. The reason I would drop Mojave, and I love Mojave, but it's part of a complex, so I can still get to the all-white snake that I want to get to. I can get close to what Mojave does with other genes. So there's a lot of things that are pretty close to it in there. So that would probably be one. And it kind of comes down between Mojave and Lesser because they're fairly similar. Lesser being brighter, I'm going to keep that and toss Mojave. And Lesser making the better bell, I'm going to keep that. And the other one I'm going to throw is Russo because Russo by itself looks like nothing to me. Looks kind of like ass. And again, it's part of that same complex. I can do all the stuff I want to do without Russo. I own Russo. So I'm mostly thinking of genes that I own, you know, but then the Russo came with Mojave. What about you?
Russo, for sure.
Russo.
It doesn't really it doesn't do a whole lot for me.
It makes all white snakes.
It makes all white
which
snakes.
I can fucking do with Lesser.
And other things like yellow bellies. But the other thing
Yellow belly, you need it for the freeways and shit.
I'm going to throw away yellow belly. And here's
bastard.
why. No,
Why?
Listen. There are 2 genetic...
Oh, no. You throw yellow belly, they're gone.
There are 2 yellow belly
you throw them,
morphs.
they're gone.
In the genetic testing that we're doing now, there are 2 distinct lines that are yellow belly, and they're totally separate.
Trying to cheat right there.
So, technically, I could get rid of one, and we can still make ivories, freeways, and all that stuff.
Actually, I'm going to retract one. I'm going to keep Mojave. Russo's still gone.
Yeah.
And Cinny's gone.
I'm okay with that.
Because I got black pastel. So I think they're very similar. I keep Mojave. Mojave's more different than... Mojave and Lesser are more different to me than what black pastel and Cinny are. So I'd probably throw out Cinny, and I'd probably throw out Russo.
No, that makes sense.
And you're going to throw out one yellow belly.
I'm going to throw out one yellow belly and keep the other.
Fucking cop out. Salish Serpent's here. Welcome, Salish. You're enjoying your snakes. Usually. Edward Phelps enjoying. I could play with that last name.
I was just thinking that.
I'm going to let it go, but I'm going to be nice. I joke around. That's what I do. And you used to have a snake. It's time to get another one, Levi. Appreciate the love. Smash the like button. I definitely agree with that, Cat.
Leave Bill alone.
Leave Bill alone. No, one comment, and then me. I could have just been like, "Oh, I'm real sorry," to all the people who are mad. But I'm like, really, you're getting bent out of shape about me making a comment about some dude who's like 70 and wearing a fucking bow tie? I know what it was. It was because he said something political. And I go, Bill Nye said something about global warming. I don't give a shit what Bill Nye says. I was like, that's what it was. And oh my god, whoo! I was in hot water. And and I don't have anything against Bill Nye, but I just don't listen to anybody out of Hollywood when it comes to anything politics, because just because you can stand in a movie and act does not mean, or you can catch a ball, does not mean that politically your views are magically more valuable than anybody else's. And likewise, you guys shouldn't listen to me about politics either, because my views are no more valid than yours. I'm just as much of a jackass as anybody else, unless I'm giving you something about, hey, these politicians voted against your right to keep reptiles. Then you should perk up and make a good decision, which the good decision is don't vote for those dickwads. But in general, if I say something political, you should just chuckle at it because it's a joke and throw it out. Like, also you should do it anybody who's famous, because they really don't. And I'm not famous, but anybody who is, because they really don't know any more than you do, I promise. Most of them are dumb. Like, most famous people are, most of them are dumb. I'm going to get in trouble for that. When I mean they're dumb, people have put them on this pedestal, and they're really just as dumb as the rest of us. They're not anything special. They just have to be good at a job that pays an assload of money. So, there you are. Edward, best gene to mix HRA in your opinion? Man, that's a good one. Thomas told me you blinded me with science. That's pretty funny. With HRA, shit.
I would either do, if you're going for really, really light stuff, get pastel in there and then try and go for red xanthic pastels that look really nice, especially with babies. But something that I'm really actually enjoying more and more and more as time goes on is throw like a black pastel there. Make it onyx. I'm really enjoying the onyx and stuff like that.
They're pretty cool, and they're allelic, so I'd go with that because it's going to give you something that's not going to make normal. So I'll probably go with the black pastel as well. Scott Inchy and Champagne. I missed something from Scott. Was that about the thumbnail?
No, I think that was was Scott the one who asked about Het Red because she.
Could be. Yeah.
Champagne
Okay,
Het Reds.
that's probably talking about what she likes. I get it now.
Yeah.
I'm catching up on it. I'm around. Hey guys, what is your favorite snake in your collection? We already hit that. Mine's probably the zebra bee, and yours is something with, or yours is a krypton. Yeah, pastel, het, desert ghost, etc., etc.
Oh, it's that lazy wolf.
Is he still around? Which lazy wolf?
He is, and he's.
Okay, not something Anna has. Like talking about a person, lazy wolf reptiles. Yes, but that he went to carpets mostly, right? Am I getting my names confused?
I can hardly keep up with everyone.
I know.
Not in a bad way. It's just so much is going on right now that.
To send him an Inchy this year. That'll be good. I dropped Pied. Oh, of course you would, because you're always like half-ass paint job. We love Pied here. But I get you, man. I get you, Hyperspace.
Oh, those were two good ones, Daniel. I didn't even think about that.
Oh, man. Daniel's spot on. As a matter of fact, I think Daniel's answer for what would be dropped out of the two wins, Caramel Albino and Desert. And the reason being is Caramel Albino kinks like a son of a bitch, and it probably really shouldn't be bred. And Desert, the females are completely infertile. Yeah. And not so much that they're infertile. I can live with infertile females. We may be running into that with the Scaleless project, y'all. Nobody's posted anything different. So there's a possibility that that's a situation. I don't know for sure. But Desert, if you breed the females, are going to die. And that is a problem. So that, whereas even, did you do that once before you knew? Before it came out?
Super Cinnies?
No, the Deserts.
I did not do
Desert. Because they'll egg bind and die.
Yeah.
Whereas if it's problem with Scaleless, then they're just going to not be able to produce eggs is the theory right now. I don't know. There's a lot of to figure out.
A lot of speculation.
A lot of speculation there.
Not a lot of evidence.
I dropped Lesser because I like butter better. Okay, yellow belly right there.
Yeah, except mine has evidence to back it up, right?
And a Scaleless and albino because they suffer being that way, and an albino in nature would suffer, but they do survive well in nature. Their animals are going to be more out in the night, so it's not going to really be a big deal on their skin. And in captivity, they're going to be just fine. I think it's kind of the same with Scaleless. I think your species that are Scaleless that are going to suffer more would be like your bearded dragons. And the reason for that is any species that needs high sun and high light, and you remove that protective layer of scales, it's like, hey, I have to go get a damn sunburn to survive. That's kind of a shitty way to go. And they have to be constantly lotioned and all of that, like your leatherbacks and whatnot. I'm not big into my beardy, so if I'm wrong, somebody correct me. But in this world, they shouldn't really suffer. Like, there's no pain without the scales. They'd be more susceptible to being cut or something like that. That really shouldn't happen in captivity. We've had a lot of scaleless animals. Ball python scaleless is a new thing, right? And about the only difference in a ball python that's scaleless versus most other scaleless snakes that one could put a finger on, and this has also been linked to maybe the breeding issues as far as they can't, is most ball pythons produce no scales at all, okay? Most scaleless snakes, like your corns and your Texas rats and the diamondback, we had a scaleless diamondback, and all these other things usually do produce some very minor scalation. Our western is like none, hardly, but they do have the belly scales. So the belly scutes still produce, which does, can help with motion a little bit. Where on the ball python you don't, and you see that long-running scar that has some people bother. But that scar is there on every ball python. It's just how the body seals and then the scales cover it. But it's already there. So it's not like that's there only because they're scaleless. You just are able to see it because they're scaleless. But I don't know if they really suffer. I haven't really heard that too much. Dropping scales to spider, cheers for the answer. Yeah, it's a good question because it brings up a lot of good things. Like I say, the things we didn't think of that I really like were definitely the caramel in the desert. Are you going to vote for me 2024? We'd take it. I don't even want to tell you who I voted for again. I voted in a Senate election because I did not like my choices in one of them at all. Not this last one. This was the time before. My choices I had this last one, I actually did like one of my choices and chose him. I voted for a man named Dennis Rader. And for those of you who know, Dennis Rader is also known as the BTK serial killer out of Wichita, actually Park City, right by Wichita, Kansas, who is in prison, and he's an asshole, and he's going to probably die in there, and he should. He's a serial killer, but he was probably better than the options I was given, so that's why I went with him. Because
I wrote in Willie Nelson.
Yeah, Willie Nelson's been fine, but I was pissed because one of the options was just bad, and the other option I had interactions with that office, and he sucked. So I vowed to never vote for him, and that was when he was a member of House before he tried to become a Senate. And unfortunately, he is one of our senators, not the good one. For that, I can tell you, I won't say who it was. I'd make you do your own homework, but I will tell you this: Jerry Moran lives here in Manhattan, Kansas, and I do like Jerry Moran, and he did get my vote. So be the other guy. And he screwed me over one time personally, and his office dropped shit. And then when they had a chance to fix it, just kind of said, kiss her ass. So you know what? I will never vote for that piece of, yeah, I can't say that. I'm a public figure. I will never vote for that thing that sucks up oxygen. Yeah. So how are the baby? They're doing great. Honestly, we could probably sell them now. I'm just enjoying watching the color change a little bit, so we're kind of slow playing it. And it's going to be cold where you can't. We're going to have to figure out deliveries on some of that, or people picking them up and that kind of thing. There is a service that I found that does it, but I'm a little leery of using that service because, yeah, there's a reason. We will discuss that here either. What is the worst snake bite that you have taken? Well, for me, it was actually from my pinstripe ball python. I've been bit by a lot of things, everything venomous. I'm very careful usually. And the only reason it was bad is the bite wasn't bad, but she did break a tooth off in my thumb. So while you try to avoid being bit, right? She was okay. And I popped the tooth out, but there was a sliver in there I didn't get out. And so it kind of just was bad. And I had to like cut my thumb and like squeeze that piece out about 4 days later when the joint started seizing up and not wanting to move because it was going to start to build some pus and shit around there. And that sucked. So the bite itself wasn't but getting that out was not overly fun. So I'm sitting there at work on a desk, like, getting pus and nastiness and a little sliver of a tooth out of my thumb. I don't recommend that for a good time on a Saturday night. What about you? What's your worst bite?
Worst bite?
It'll be Olympus Reptiles versus the world. No shit, right? Y'all get me like on everything.
Yeah, you get in trouble there.
Still don't jet bite. Yeah, what's your worst bite?
Yeah. The Massey.
Oh yeah.
Massey.
He did get bit by a Massey.
4 years ago now.
Yeah. Did it actually get you?
It did. That was I wouldn't say it was my worst bite because it was really a dry bite. So it wasn't I would say that had the potential to be the worst bite. The worst bite that in terms of damage was there was a at Reptile World, it's a 17-foot long retic. And I have scars on my hand and some ligaments that just don't quite move just right anymore.
Yeah. And even as bad as that is, had that mass he chose to light you up. That's what I thought it was dry. Then, I mean, from a oh my god standpoint, that's got to be the worst.
Yeah.
Because it probably wouldn't gonna kill you, Massey, most likely.
Nah.
But it's gonna be bad.
Yeah. Definitely scared the crap out of me.
Yeah. And what did I say to you when that happened to you? Because
what did we learn?
Yeah, at the time. So Caleb comes from a lot of experience at the time of handling like elapids, which I don't. So if we ever want to get into elapids, he's going to have to teach me. I've handled elapids, I've dealt that, but it's not my forte. It's not what I'm, I feel comfortable with. I'm very comfortable with my rattlesnakes, especially and other vipers, but rattlesnakes more than probably anything. And you just skipped a step, right? Yeah. That's all it was. We just because it's small, it's a little base snake, no big deal. And so what really impressed me is I said, well, what do we learn? What we do? He knew exactly what he'd done wrong. He knew exactly why he did it. He knew exactly what he had changed. I thought this is a guy that's not going to have that happen again. So
nope,
it worked out well.
Nope, and because the shop was going to get rid of that because we had just left we had not just left like a bit, but we had all no longer in the shop anymore, and they were going to get rid of it, and that is a lot of sentimental value because that is the first and only. And will hopefully be the last venomous snake bite I ever take. But I wanted that for sentimental value.
He's here.
So he is here. He is mine. And he is still a jerk.
Let's see what else we got in here. Any large arboreal snakes by GTP shot off a single piece measuring 7 feet last night. Proof in short. Recommend anyone for large custom enclosure craft MDF preferred over PVC. Wait a minute. Preferred over PVC. Most people I know do PVC. So I'm not really sure who's doing MDF right now. But I'm sure they're out there. We've kept some arboreal. I mean, our carpets are quasi-arboreal. We have them in basically it's a bookshelf that's been modified at this point. And we have one in a big cage here, but that's going to be where they're going to both end up is there's a lot of vertical space. And that works really well. We just got to finish out one. But yeah, I mean, I've had GTPs before. I've never had one 7 feet. That's massive. Somebody will tag Bill Nye to come on here. Oh, and again, I'm not ripping Bill Nye. Bill Nye's fine. Just, it was one of those things where, oh, Bill Nye said, I don't care what Bill Nye says. I just don't, I watched him when I was a child. It's like, if I'm listening to the G.I. Joe advice after the G.I. Joe episode, knowing half the battle, I still remember that, though. Yeah. My favorite snake has to be a Mystic, Hidden Gene, Woma, Yellow Belly, Ultramel. I've never seen that, Ryan Garcia, but it sounds pretty badass. Bells all day long. Half-ass paint job. I know. That's a Pied reference for those that don't know. Question Girl does love Pied, so we'll never get rid of the Pied. You're absolutely correct on that. What is the most expensive BP on the market right now? I don't know.
Skittles, probably.
Sunset Clown is up there for $60K for now. Okay. I don't know who produced that Sunset Clown.
I know.
I don't even want to know. I'm going to tell you. Would I give $60,000 to that animal? No, I'm not. Now, if somebody wants to, that's well good. You know what? If they can sell it for that, more power to them. Like, and people are like, well, that's too high. It's not too high if somebody pays it. That's a fact. Your price is not too high if somebody pays it. Right? I'm not going to be the one to pay that because, again, we've talked about how oversaturated Clown is. Sunset is not that oversaturated, but if a Sunset was selling for $30,000, 5 years ago, 6 years ago, I'm not paying $60,000 because it's got one of the most common recessives ever crammed into it. Personally, somebody may though, so that's just my personal feeling. It's not a knock. Like I say, I don't even know whose it is, but that's just. I'm not going to do that. That's the most expensive one. So, what about my SK Xanthic projects? What do you want to know about those projects? I'll be more than happy to answer any questions for you. Silkies, thank you. Super Leatherback. Again, like I said, I don't know my bearded dragon morphs that well, but I knew it was some connect leatherback. So Silkies are the ones that are the full scales on the back and need them much. Thank you. Good correction. Good catch. Getting a sunburn to survive is like being a ginger in Florida. The struggle is real. So you get it. You feel for them, right? I don't have a full Scaleless, but I've also heard that they shed more frequently. I've heard some theories that it's due to microabrasion from crawling and all of this and all of that. And I don't know, but I've also heard they do shed more frequently. But again, that's not from personal experience because I still don't have a full Scaleless. When we had our Scaleless like Western, he didn't really shed any more than anything else, I don't think.
No.
I mean, not that I noticed.
Scaleless rats that shed the same.
But I've heard it reported from multiple people that on the ball pythons, they do tend to shed more frequently. And again, that could be from, a snake will shed because it's time, it's growing, or the skin gets damaged. That could be from just picking up a little bit more damage, or I don't know. I don't have that answer, to be honest, why, but I have heard that is the case. A black Peter Clown female for my male Clown pastel spider. Can't wait to see the combos. Has some cool shit in there. It's not their skin, it's their eyes. I'll let permanently blind them, but the eyes will swell and infect. Hasn't happened to me. I have a lot of albinos in my collection. Are you talking about on albinos or are you talking about on scaleless ball pythons? Because the scaleless ball pythons, they still have this eye scale, I believe. Otherwise,
I don't know.
The way a snake's eye, and I've handled some and seen some up close, and they all tend to still have that lens cover. And how you know that is a snake's eye. And I had this happen to my first snake, my first boa. I got kicked in the face by a rat and it cut the scale. I had to go through a lot of vet work to keep that thing's vision. So there is the eyeball, right? A layer of fluid like your tears, and then a scale that compresses that over. So they're always looking through that liquid. It keeps the eye moist, but it's compressed, so it's not like you're underwater. It's like a goggle almost, but it's kind of filled in there. So if this scale gets damaged, that fluid leaks out, that eye dries. Okay. So if that was going to be the issue for scales not having scales causing that, their eyes would dry like within days of being born and would shrivel up, and you would be able to tell by looking. And that's not been the case from anything I've ever heard. So and I'm not too concerned with that. They must have that eye protective covering because they do still shed their skin. So I would assume that that's still part of the skin in there. I have two kids. I had no idea he was a serial killer. Oh, you're talking about, Kunamatata, you're talking about good old Dennis Rader. Yeah, he's human waste. I was trying to join a Patreon earlier today and it wouldn't let me scroll down to my state. Only gave Alabama and Alaska, and that's it. What gives? What state are you in? Because that would suck, and I want you there. I don't know why it wouldn't give your state. I'm going to guess maybe Arkansas, just because it's the only other A state I can think of off the top of my head. that's the case, we love y'all in Arkansas. I got a lot of family down there, so it's I poke fun at Arkansas, but it's like home to me in a lot of ways. So, especially around town Ozark, and right there in that area where you can go down to Piggly Wiggly still. And Altus, if you want to be exact, is where I have a lot of family. Just teeny tiny. But I don't know why it's not on there. You may have to just try typing maybe an error or contact website. We don't own the website. We just host through it. So if it's missing, contact them, and I'm sure they can get that fixed because they won't want to exclude the state either. And obviously, we want you to be able to get on. It's important to us, right? Hi, y'all. I think I still have a rat tooth chip in my finger. Yeah, that's no fun. Jag to Jag, they have a very bit different bloodlines. I wouldn't. So Jag to Jag pairings, and we're going to probably do this for about maybe 10 to 15 more minutes and hop off and go to Patreon. Jag to Jag pairings are kind of like spider to spider. Now, I don't know if we can outcross Jag enough to make it better because the bloodline and what comes into America has been a very small bloodline. But for the most part, Jag to Jag, that's why Jag sibs need outcross. Everything else, I would avoid Jag to Jag. You're going to, actually, Jag to Jag will produce, I'm thinking about it, you're not just going to get like spider where you get more wobble. You're going to get a leucistic animal. Now, leucistic animal, there's been a few handfuls of them born. They never survive. Most of them don't survive the egg, and the ones that do come out are going to die. So if you do Jag to Jag, you will produce a super Jag, but it's going to die on you. From everything we've ever seen or heard, and they've been out a long time. So I am convinced that that is not a viable plan. I mean, if you had 15 eggs, you're going to lose probably 3 to 5 of those. So automatically. So I would avoid it. I would avoid Jag to Jag. Isn't it lethal combo? Yep, JoJo's lethal combo. Have you ever had a ball python trying to kill and eat you? Yeah, actually about not uncommon during feed nights that, when you have a large collection you're feeding, that smells in here by the time you're getting those last racks and you open it, they're like flying out. So I about got bit last week, and you did get bit once last week. It just happens. When can you buy a baby rattlesnake? Anxiously anticipating the release. Well, I think you are on Patreon if memory serves. Kill that fly. And we'll just kind of dump them all at once on Patreon. That's kind of our plan. And then you just tell me what sex you want. We'll kind of handpick them and mark them for you, rather than trying to take little pictures of individual baby rattlesnakes. That's a pain in the ass and can be a little bit dangerous. We're just going to do it that way. And then, but it'll be coming up soon. I just don't know when. I got to pick my hold back. Who is Massey? Massey is a Massasauga rattlesnake. So it's a smaller species of rattlesnake. It's a sister species. So you have all your Crotalus, right? Crotalus atrox, Horridus, all of those things. This is one of the sister species. So, yeah. Horse is a Mexican redhead parrot. Birds are nasty when they do that. What size of my boxes for adults? We run 2 sizes. We run FB40s for most of our males. There's a few exceptions. And FB70s for our full-size adult females. So the FB70 is going to have about the floor space of a 40 breeder, I would say. They're pretty good size tubs. Next pairing is Inchy Freeway times Inchy Pastel Spectre Yellow Belly, aka Super Strike, and I can't wait. I can understand that. The goal amount for clutches we're aiming for, we're nowhere near that. We won't be there this year. I would like to eventually do around 100 clutches a year. And I know there's this movement in the market right now. And I'll tell you too, we probably should hold off and enter any more questions. We got to get through these. I'm going to fucking go on a little bit of a rant here. I'm going to save that rant till the end. So stick with me because Matt's going to go on a rant at the end because there's something that's kind of, to quote Peter from Family Guy, grinding my gears lately. I've been reading, and I'm gonna spout off. It's gonna happen. You made me think of it. I'm gonna let it go. Anti-venom on hand. We don't, but we know where we can get it quick if we need.
And I'm working on getting FDA certified so that we can get some non-native species anti-venom.
Yes, that we are working on that, so we could have it just even closer. Blue Eye Lucy. What will be the best to breed her with? Something with the same thing that's in her, so you can make more bells in combo. So if it's a super lesser, like I'm just gonna guess. Then get a lesser combo of some sort and breed that too. It's what I'd go, especially like a lesser with a kicker recessive, so they're all het. Then you're really kicking ass right there. First off, what's up, guys? Hope all is well. What's one of the species of snakes or reptiles you'd love to work with most, but maybe can't do due to laws or similar? Hognose here. Hognose can be a problem in Kansas, and they would be really awesome because they're small, they're cute, but it's problematic.
Bolins, pythons, but that's because I don't have 20 grand.
I'm starting a rat colony of 7-9 gallon mixing tub to start with. It's all 7 sides adding rats. How many levels should I use for breeding 3 to 4 levels and use the others for growing? I'm not really sure how many, but probably at least 7.
Sounds like a Kurt question.
That's more of a Kurt question. Fat, no, I don't get that.
That's probably something that we were talking about at the time and missed.
Help me figure that one out. Dying to ask you a question. We'll ask that question, Alex. Hope you put in there. I only think super is lethal. For Jag, yes. Don't do Jag to Jag. Jag is fine. Super or lethal. So, but if you breed Jag to Jag, you will make super Jags, and they're lethal. You can. I mean, yeah. Miguel Garcia, I didn't say buy it. Yeah, and now that may have more stuff in there. And I'm not, but 60K for me, I'm not buying that either because I'm not a dude who's got 60K. But again, like we always say, what is a lot of money to you or a lot of money to me may be very different. What's a lot of money to somebody else? If you're getting into this and money's no object and you're like, I'm going to drop $500,000 on that, 60,000 may not be a big deal. But I wouldn't buy that as a linchpin for a project for me right now with what I want to invest in the animals and the equipment, personally. It's not my thing. Again, not a knock anybody producer selling it, and if they can sell it, then they're not asking too much. And if it's the only one, here's the thing. When you have something really expensive like that, if it's the only one, you've only got to find one dude. There's 1,000 dudes like me that are going, I'm not paying that because it's not worth it to me. You've only got to find one guy willing to do it, right? Just one dude.
I'm sure they're out there.
What's that?
I'm sure there's out there.
They probably are out there.
Yeah.
They'll probably get that for that animal.
Oh, I'm sure.
It just won't be for me. And people look at that too as like, what's the most expensive ball python listed? If you want to know what the most expensive ball python really is, flip that morph market not to listed but to sold. Because a lot of times some of those things listed really high are going to go to a handful of people, and there's going to be a lot of trading and things like that involved. That happens all the time, y'all.
I think Skittles was the most expensive the last time. It was like some crazy paradox snake.
Yeah, Skittles is famous. That's one off. That's
Yeah.
one of a kind, but
Yeah.
it's been for sale a lot. How often does each snake in a bin get exercise and enrichment when we feed them and when they're breeding for the most part, or when I take them out and look at them? Yeah. Triple says part, are they worth it? I think so. They're going to be more protected. It's going to take you a long time though. Depends how you invest in it. And then, do you think a puzzle and SK make for a good double recessive to start with the collection project? I've never worked with puzzles, so don't know. But SK, yeah, you can't go wrong with SK, especially if it's going to brighten stuff up. You want to brighten your Xanthic. At least I do, to get to that contrast. So things that make a lot of yellow, your fires, your stuff like that, fireflies are going to be good. All of those things. Illinois, interesting. I don't know, and I'm sure they do because Chicago. You may just have to kind of ask them. They can. I mean, there's a message thing to send them. They'll get it fixed. Honestly, Alex, on that, it depends solely. Just like we were talking about that, like, what was it, Clown Pine?
Yeah.
No, wasn't Clown Pine. Clown Sunset.
Yeah.
Yeah, because Clown Pine wouldn't be that much.
No.
It really would depend on how much I want to invest. If I'm wanting to start that project on the lower end, I'm going to buy my double recessive, or double hets, or I'm going to make my double hets. That's what we did. If I have more money and I can invest, then I'm going to buy double visuals and just cheat the system. It's just whatever you want to pay to get started. That would be the thing. I can tell you there's no wrong way. I would avoid pos hets. Yes, I didn't catch the pos hets. I would stick to known hets. I would stick, if you're buying known hets on high-end stuff, that you buy from somebody you know and you trust. A name that you know or a person that you know. There was just recently somebody on a Facebook thing, and they were showing the ads where they got screwed on morph market from hets that were high-end hets. They paid good money, and then they sent off a shed, and guess what? It tested nothing, and the dude's gone. Like, sold 2 normals, right? So buy from somebody you know. Like, if I'm going to buy sunset hets, who am I buying sunset hets from? I'd probably buy from Barchek. I'd probably buy from Miguel. I'd probably buy from Cusco. I'd probably buy from people who I knew had sunset and a handful of others. But I'm going to stick to those people who I've seen work sunset, I know have sunset, and I know have it. I'm not going to buy from Joe's fly-by-night reptiles that just showed up on Morph Market. Not doing it. No fucking chance I'm buying from that. And that may sound hard, like, well, you got to help the new guy out. Not if I'm investing that much money that I need to help myself out. I'm going to buy, even if I'm paying more, to get from somebody that I know is not screwing me, which would be those people I listed that I know work with that. You can also trust, a lot of people, but that was just ones that came to my brain. Difference between calico and sugar, not a lot. Some people think the sugar has more white, probably does. All right, I'm going to cut these off because they're still coming in, and I want to hit up a topic that y'all made me think of.
While you're renting, I've got to go thaw up those pinkies.
Go thaw up those pinkies. I'm going to rant. Yeah, I'm still feeding my pair. So I've seen a lot of things on Facebook lately because I've had a little time because I changed positions at my job and I got time to scroll the old Facebook. So I kind of lurk there, comment every now and then on certain places. And the thing I've been seeing a lot of is a complaint about how many breeders there are. And the other complaint is that we should all just pair together and hold the line on prices. I'm going to tell you, both those things are stupid. They're bullshit. You know, it's funny to me that the people who are complaining that there's too many ball python breeders and damn these COVID breeders, they're screwing up my prices. They need to just go away and all of that. You know, some are naturally going to go away. We told you it was going to happen when they came in, and it's still going to happen. Personally, I wish they'd all stick around, right? I wish they'd all continue buying and bringing their friends into this and growing the hobby as a whole. The people complaining who are saying there's too many breeders out there, too many breeders, they are breeders themselves. So if you're breeding yourself, don't bitch about other people breeding. Don't do it. If you're breeding yourself because you want to have a business at any level, whether you just want a hobby business that just pays for its own bills or whatever it is, then you really can't complain that other people are breeding. And then I also see, well, they need to just control how many clutches they make. They need to stop making so many damn clutches, right? Here's the thing, you know, that's not going to fix the problem. Because people who are telling you that, people are saying, well, people are producing too many clutches, you know, it's going to cause the prices to go down. If you set your infrastructure up, right? If you built your infrastructure, you built your feed, you planned your business out, and you did it that way, where you have all that laid out, and you're not setting on huge loans and overhead. So like myself, not on huge loans and overhead. Built it up a piece at a time. The only thing we owe any money on is this damn house, and that ain't a whole lot. Our rats, we have it covered where they're not costing us hardly anything at all. We have other income streams to cover things in slow times and do all of that. If I want to lower my prices and undercut people at a show because I need to sell shit, I'm going to do it. I'm going to do it because I have to run my business. I don't have to run everybody else's. And so people saying, oh, these guys come in there, just going to undercut prices. They should only be producing a handful of clutches, da-da-da-da-da-da-da. They're saying that because they're afraid that they're going to fail. They're fearful that they can't undercut. They're fearful that they can't sell for that and survive. I got news. That is not my problem. That is not Mike Wilbank's problem. He has a large collection is why I'm saying that. That's not Nerd's problem. That's not Brian Barczyk's problem, nor is it any of those people's fault. I told you coming in, this was going to happen. If you've built your infrastructure, and if you have the ability to stay through that, you're going to be A-okay. Kicking people out of the hobby only long-term kills the hobby. If there is no market, we talked about that $60,000. I'm going to come back to that $60,000 thing. Let me ask you this. Who's going to buy that? Somebody probably is. It ain't going to be me. It ain't going to be the guy who brought it up. But who's probably going to buy that? Another breeder, right? It's going to go to a breeder. It's probably going to go to a large name breeder. That's who that snake was made for. I mean, it's made for anybody who wants to pay the price, but most likely the guy paying the price is going to be that person. If the market isn't growing and nobody else is getting into it, then those high-end snakes, we're not all going to trade high-end snakes back and forth and survive this market. It's just not going to happen. You're not going to get pet people coming in and wanting to buy their first snake and catching a love. They want to have a small collection of 5 or 10, or even they don't want to breed at $1,500 to $2,000 a snake. Not going to happen very often. So run your business. If you can't compete, figure out a way to compete. Don't worry about what the other guy's doing. And if he's pricing them too low, he's going to sell it really fast. And then guess what? That doesn't mean you have to price yours out either. If I go somewhere and a guy's pricing for way less than I want to sell for, man, you do you, bro. I'm going to hold my price. Yours will all be gone. And then they're going to come buy from me anyway. Like, it's just asinine for somebody to sit there and complain that somebody else, whether it's more people in the hobby, extra breeders, or this or that, or whether it's somebody undercut my prices, or whether it's whatever the complaint is, that other person is ruining their business and ruining their hobby. You're making fucking excuses, and it needs to stop. That's my rant for the day. And that's not meant to be mean. That's meant to look internally. I mean, we all get that way, right? We all get that way. And I missed part of that. New pet store. Okay. Yeah, we all get, but when you look inside and you say, okay, this is what's going on. This is what my challenge is. And rather than point fingers and complain and bitch and say other people need to fix this for me, you figure out a way to get past that challenge. In today's current market, you're going to be successful. You sit around and you whine that somebody else is undercutting you, or there's too many breeders, there's too much this, and everybody just needs to do something. Everybody just needs to hold their price. Everybody just needs to do this so you can keep doing what you want to do. You're gonna lose, man. You're gonna lose. You're not gonna hang out there. Some people are gonna say that and just vent. I get that, man. Vent if you need to, but at the end of the day, you gotta look here. If you're gonna fix what's going on, you gotta look here. And some of it may be okay. I'm not going to make money for a few years at this, or good money. I'm just going to get past this weird part, and then it's going to get more normal, and we're going to be there. You know what I mean? That's some of the things you can look at, too. So anyway, that's my rant for the day. Hopefully that wasn't too far off. I don't know if Caleb's coming back in, like, oh, shit, see, I probably had that on. Were you listening to that?
What?
You weren't listening to the rant?
No, I was...
Probably good it was about you.
Wow.
It wasn't about him. But anyway, you all know what I'm talking about if you've been on the Facebook recently. So just... be positive, look at yourself, and you're going to do fine. You're going to be successful. Do it your way, but don't look for others. So anyway, that's all I got. We've been at this for 55 minutes. So if there's a couple questions now I've got off my rant, go ahead and hit them up and we'll answer them. I was ranting about people complaining there's too many breeders and breeders need to leave, or people are breeding too many collections, we need to breed 20, or we all need to keep our prices the
Ironically,
same.
do you know who the people who are saying that is?
See if he says the same thing I did. Who?
Breeders who are having trouble selling their babies.
Right on the nose, right there. The exact same thing I just told you.
I never understood that. They're like, I was in a group. This is a perfect example. I was in a bearded dragon group, and this guy posted all these cool genetics he bought for his bearded dragon. He's like, I can't wait to get into breeding.
Yeah.
And someone said, you shouldn't get into breeding. There's too many breeders. Let someone else do it. And I looked at that person's profile, and they themselves were a breeder.
Here's my question, though, for those people who are doing that. Like, who the fuck do they think they're going to sell to?
Yeah.
I mean, again, we make a lot of snakes at $200 to $500 range. We make a lot of snakes over it. I promise you. Caleb bought that Krypton for us. He paid a pretty dear price. It was in the 4-digit price. It wasn't in the 5-digit. It was in the 4-digit price. He's not buying that to look at. Okay? He's not. He's buying that to breed. I know that. But if there wasn't breeders coming in, there's nobody to buy that. And you think, well, there's already enough breeders. Well, pretty soon all the breeders who are here are going to already have that. And then they don't need it. They're not going to buy it. You want to see a market crash? Start retracting the amount of customers you have. Whether that's, hey, we're going to lock down and we have 100 breeders, which is way more than 100. We'll say 1,000, way more than that too. So we have 1,000 breeders. We're not going to have any more breeders. We're going to lock it down to 1,000. We're not letting anybody else in. And then there's still some pet people come in. They're not buying that high end. So these 1,000 people just trading back and forth. And it just, we already all have them. We're just trading the same shit. And you want to see value crash, close that market and watch it tank. Close that market and watch it tank. So, in the bearded dragon community, and it's getting that way in the ball python community. They'll talk up certain people. Some of them will probably even say we're great. Some of them they're all going to talk up JKR for good reason. Some of them are going to talk up Miguel. Some of them are going to talk up, you pick nerds. Some are going to hate each one of those too. Except for JKR, that guy never gets hate. I mean, I don't know if he's got like a Mr. Rogers look to him. It's like, oh shucks, everybody loves that dude. I don't ever see him get hate.
No, and I think there's only one other person like that I can think of, and that's I can't remember his name, but he does is this the best pet?
Oh,
breed?
Clint. But Clint doesn't do a lot of breeding, I don't think.
No, but he's another reptile YouTuber that I just
never
see hate. So, that's a Mr. Rogers guy.
Yes. I like Clint. And I like I like JKR, but I never get used to calling him Canova. But anyway, it's there. That's happening in this community too, and it's going to rub new people the wrong way, and it's going to hurt us. We will hurt ourselves doing that. Or we should be welcoming. Now, don't lie to people. Don't tell people who are coming to breed that, you're going to make millions. That's great. Don't fill them full of bullshit. Why don't we just try the truth? I think that's the way to go in this hobby. Try the fucking truth. And, we're always going to have that 10% of people that can't do that. But for most of us, we just tell the truth. And we tell the truth to customers when they're buying a snake. And if they ask about breeding, we tell the truth about it. I think we're going to be in a good spot. How we do things. A little bit of honesty. Amazing. Shocking. A little bit of honesty. All right, that's all I got. Caleb, you got anything you want to add?
Nope, that's all I got.
All right, Patreon, we're going to go kill a bunch of, they're already dead. We're going to feed a bunch of frozen rodents that are thawed now to a bunch of Gila monsters. Let me get James's question there. And T-Dizzle. T-Dizzle! I kind of like that name. I just saw that pop up. We use, everybody uses FedEx, I think. Right? Yeah, FedEx. That's where we drop those things off at. And the company we use to ship is, it's Deb. What's the name?
Ship your reptiles? Or do you use one?
Reptiles to You.
Reptiles to You.
Yeah, Reptiles to You. And I just I'd like to have a good success when there's been problems. They take good care of me. So I buy my boxes to them. I buy my heat packs. I buy my shit to them. You're going to box up yourself and ship it out. I get my labels to them. I haven't checked to see what the cheapest is lately, but they've always been very, very competitive and kind of just stuck with them. What's my favorite opinion on blood python, ball python hybrids? I don't have a problem with hybrids. I've seen some pictures. They look pretty cool, but it's not my bag. But again, it's because it's not my bag. What's up, DA? It's been a long time. You're catching Slim Indian. It's not my bag. I like hybrids that are going to happen in the real world. So that's all right, James. We'd love to have you, but we know it's an expense. We get that. So I'm not going to do it, but we do hybrids. And there are some things we want to hybridize, like gabinos and shit like that. Ball python mostly come from Africa. Does it matter about the month where the snake comes from, or is it still a ball python from Africa? Does it matter about the month?
Oh, so I think I get what you're asking, because
I'm confused as fuck.
Technically, all ball pythons come from Africa, but there's different
morph. Ooh. So, does it matter about the morph where the snake comes from, or is it still a ball python? So the animals from Africa, but most of them are going to be captive bred. So most are going to be born here in America, or if you're in Canada, or if you're in UK, they're going to be born. Most of them are going to be born wherever the hell you're at, but they're still an African species. The morphs, most of them have originated. Some of them originated in certain countries, just popped up in collections. Most of them have originated over in Africa when you have these large farms that collect the eggs, hatch them there, and a guy literally sits there and goes, normal. Oh, kind of cool looking. Normal. Oh, this is neat. Normal. They ship all those normals off. You can buy a box of them, and if you really inspect them, you might find something cool because they kind of go through it pretty quick.
That's how Orange Dream came about.
Yeah, spot nose too. End up in a pet shop. But the really crazy things are that something that looks really different, they're going to pull aside. They're going to have a contact list of certain people they contact, and they're going to sell that. So that's how it happens. I see you, Dennis. By God, we'll be on Patreon in a minute. We'll be doing that shit, I promise. So that's what to kind of answer your question. Most of them are born in Africa, not all. And then what you're buying is probably born here. Heat rope versus heat tape. Do both produce efficient heat? Yeah, I'd say I like. And then we got to really stop doing this. We'll be here all night. I like the tape better because it's when you run a rope, like we have heat rope in some things we use for all of our baby stuff. You're gonna have a warm area. It's gonna heat the wood. And it's gonna kind of spread, but it's not gonna be as spread out. Where the heat tape on a big snake is gonna be more spread out. So I'd say for your adults, you're better off running heat tape. For your babies, you could run either one. A lot of people run back heat with heat tape on the babies, and it's doing the same shit a heat cable really does. But yeah, right. It's gonna be on the eye of an adult. On a baby, you're gonna have enough width there to be fine. Like as long as you run your thermostat right and everything else. But for an adult, with that female to be able to lay on a space. So, yeah, but I do. Like, I am a single guy right now because my wife has left me temporarily. She's coming back. I promise. It's not a domestic issue. She had to go out to Cali. She didn't have to. She went out to Cali too because her brother deployed overseas. So she's helping her sister-in-law with the kids for about a week and a half and getting to go to a concert he had tickets for that he can't go to because he's in Saudi Arabia. Yeah, right? I know. Rough life. And so I'm stuck here back in Kansas. Doing Kansas stuff, me and him having to do all my own damn laundry and keep the house together and the dogs and everything else, so I can't be here all night. I got shit I gotta do. And definitely use a thermostat, right? So, alright guys, I'm gonna hop off here, slide over to Patreon, and yes, for those who have requested it, we are going to feed Gilas and Pixel Cherry. You should join Patreon and join us over there. And there's your shout out with a little bit of an advertisement. Alright, we'll catch you all next time. There, went away.